Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am David Giles, and this is the Money and Me podcast, where Mainers learn to prosper. At least that is our goal. And the whole idea behind this podcast is to focus on financial matters that hit Mainers the most. That's not to say that we'll never talk about other issues that aren't directly Maine related, but we want to focus on those because that is the area that I am finding the most people that quite frankly are struggling the most with. And I'm from Maine, so I'm trying to help as many people as I can in this state. So let's dive right into the episode, which is going to be, get this up here, right there, and nope, wrong way. Let's get that, there we go. The property tax fairness credit. So this here, ordinarily when people file their taxes, they'll generally use a software program or they'll pay someone else to do them. And this credit kind of seamlessly flows into the picture and gets filed for, and everyone that generally qualifies for it can get the credit that way. The problem is that not everyone uses a software program or knows how to file it if they're doing it on their own. It generally, if they hire someone else to do it, then that gets taken care of. But it's the people that file their own taxes or don't file a federal income tax that they seemingly don't file for this credit, and they end up leaving money on the table. So what is the property tax fairness credit? Well, it's actually a two-part credit. There's the property tax fairness credit, but then on that same exact form, there's the sales tax property fairness credit, and we'll talk about that piece of it here in a second. But the property tax, it's basically designed to help offset the cost of property taxes for low to middle income households here in the state of Maine. So things not working. There we go. So who is it for? Like I said, it's predominantly low to middle income. And let me go ahead and I'm just going to go and take myself out of this and bring up the whole screen here, so make sure that everyone can see everything. So it's if you're thinking in terms of seniors on fixed income, households that are in high rent areas, homeowners facing increasing property taxes relative to their income, people on a fixed income, think maybe Social Security or SSI, or just people that just don't make a lot of money. This credit is designed to help offset the cost of property taxes, and I've got down in the lower right hand corner that Mainers who don't normally file a federal tax return. This I'm going to put that out there in a couple of different places because that's the one area where people fail to file for this. They don't file a federal income tax and they don't think that they qualify for, or just don't think to file a state income tax in order to get this credit. You can still do that, and I'll show you that in a minute. So who qualifies for it? Well, there's a couple of different criteria that you have to meet. First of all is the residency test. So you have to have been a Maine resident during the tax year in which you're trying to file for the credit. And the primary residence that you lived in Maine, you had to have been there during that part of the year, either owning the house and paying property taxes or renting. And so there again, there's a two piece there. It's meant to offset property taxes, but also offset increasing rent if you're a renter. So depending on your specific situation, whether you're a renter or you own your home. That's the first test. The second test deals with income, and I don't have the numbers up here for the thresholds because they do adjust, and there's a sliding scale based on your income that determines how much of a credit you may qualify for. But when you fill out the form, it'll walk you through that, or if you get someone else to do it for you, they will do that as well. But if you fall below a certain threshold, for the tax year, then you could qualify for this credit. Keep in mind that you do not need earned income to qualify. And there are certain people in situations where they have income, but it's not earned, but they can still qualify for the credit on this. And one thing I didn't say before that I probably should bring up is that this is a refundable credit. I don't think I said this before. That means that you get the money whether you owe taxes or not. So it's a good deal in that it will help, even if you don't owe the state of Maine taxes, you can still get this credit. So it's worth looking into. Some other things you need to take into consideration is that you can file for the credit if you file any status except married filing separately. If you file that, married filing separately, then you do not qualify for the credit. And then on top of that, if you qualify as somebody else's dependent, you cannot get the credit. And then again, this slide here shows you that even if you don't file a federal income tax, as long as you file a Maine income tax, the 1040 ME, you can still qualify for this credit, assuming you meet those qualifications for the residency and the income. And so a couple other stipulations. Again, we said this before, but we'll say it again. You had to have been in that home in Maine as your primary residence during some point during the year. You had to have paid the taxes or the rent in order to get the credit. So if you skipped out on your taxes or you skipped out on your rent for the whole year, I don't know how you still did that, but if you didn't pay, then you don't get the credit, obviously. And then if you can be claimed as a dependent on someone else's return, then you don't get the credit. So those are the primary ins and outs of that. And so let's talk about how much you could get. Well, right now there's a bill going through Augusta that may change these numbers to increase them. We're waiting to see how that's going to pan out. But at the moment, if you're under 65, then the credit can be worth up to $1,000. And then if you're 65 or older, or you're a permanent and totally disabled VA veteran, then it could be up to $2,000. Now, keep in mind that not everyone will get $1,000 or $2,000. It's based on that sliding scale for your income and how much you paid in either property taxes or rent. So yeah, again, it'll all get figured out when you fill out that form. So the other half of this credit that we said before is the sales tax fairness credit. And this, again, it's filled out. It's when you fill out the same form as the property tax, you'll fill out this part on the bottom. And this is meant to help offset the rising cost of sales tax for low to mid-income households. And again, this is a refundable credit as well. And again, like it says here, it's meant to offset the sales tax of everyday necessities. So who qualifies for it? Well, it goes along the same line. There's a you have to be a Maine resident with low or moderate income. Then you may qualify for this. And even if you don't owe any state income tax, you can still get this credit. And again, it's on a sliding scale, so not everyone will get the same amount. But the form will walk you through that. So it can be a couple $100 in your pocket, and again, the numbers change year to year and it's based on your income. So I'm not going to put income numbers up there. But again, you can get a couple $100 just for this side of the credit. And then you've got the property tax fairness credit as well. How do you file for it? Well, if you file using a software package, then when you get to the state side of it, you will load up this form and it should walk you through filling it out. If you pay someone else to do it for you or you have someone helping you, then they'll take care of that. But if you don't file a federal income tax, you can still go to the Maine Revenue Services portal and it will ask you some questions based on, any income you have, any property taxes that you've paid. And then if you're a renter, it'll ask you how much rent you paid. It'll ask you who your landlord is and things like that. And then it takes 5 or 10 minutes to do this. And then when you submit it, they'll cut you a check. And I believe they could deposit it in your bank account as well. But it's pretty straightforward. I've helped a few people with this now, and I'm going to be helping a lot of people this year because that is tax returns is my primary source of business right now, but I like having people do it on their own if they can. And then there's the website down below, the revenue.maine.gov / and what is that, underscore blah 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 pound two, and that will bring you to it. But you can also just search for Maine Revenue portal, and you'll have to create an account for that. So it only takes a few minutes. It's worth the time. It can be hundreds of dollars, technically thousands of dollars, depending on your situation. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or anything like that, feel free to drop a comment, and I'll try to respond wherever I can. So key takeaways. Just to keep in mind that the sales tax and the property taxes, there's some criteria that you have to meet. You have to file a Maine Form 1040 ME via the Maine Revenue Services online portal, assuming that you don't file a federal return, and you have to report all the income, including non-taxable sources. So one last thing is, if you have not taken advantage of this credit due to not filing in the past, you can go back and file for 3 years. So we've got this year coming up. It's getting ready to kick off. So if you have not filed for the previous 3 years, do that before January. You've got basically 2 days. Well, actually, by the time this goes live, you'll be too late for that year. But 3 years is what you can go back to. So it's worth going back and getting it. You could technically, like I said, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars if you qualify for it. So if you need assistance with your taxes, like I said, I'm in Central Maine. I'm in Corinth right now. I'm more than happy to help. Obviously, I have to charge a few bucks if you need assistance just with this piece of it. I also do regular tax returns, and you can contact me through the comments here. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me just Googling. So there you have it. I hope you find this useful. And again, we're going to try to put out a new topic. We're going to shoot for every week. And because there's a lot of things in Maine that people are just not taking advantage of. There's some confusion, and we want to clear that up so that people can get the most out of their money. So thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.